What's up, Titans fans? I want your one-word reaction to the Derrick Henry injury news. And I also made a video on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, so I want you to go ahead and subscribe to that channel. And I want you to subscribe here to make sure you stay up to date on everything going on around the Tennessee Titans. What's going on, NFL fans? Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And before we get into today's video, which is around Derrick Henry's injury news and 9 running backs that the Tennessee Titans could potentially go out and trade for before the deadline, I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our awesome sponsor, Magic Spoon. Major shout out to them for sponsoring today's show. Go to magicspoon.com/chat where you can save $5 off your very first order. Maybe if you want to look like a guy like Derrick Henry, go ahead and get some bowls of cereal with 13 grams of protein. So let's talk about this injury news because this one really breaks my heart. I got Henry in almost every single one of my fantasy leagues. The report right now is that he could be done for the season. The fear is that he has a Jones fracture. So there's kind of conflicting reports. First, Adam Schefter said, hey, according to his source, if Henry goes ahead and has surgery, he will be done for the season. Ian Rappaport then shortly after tweeted out that said, well, we're still going to have to see what that MRI says, and as soon as we get more information on that MRI, we'll try to put an update in the comments, in the description, somewhere along the lines of that, because Henry is such a big player. But let's just say the Jones fracture isn't as severe, or maybe it doesn't require surgery. He could then return in 8 weeks, January, potentially for the playoffs. And obviously this is very important because if the playoffs were to start right now, here is the current AFC playoff picture of the Tennessee Titans. They would be in first place. I mean, 6-2 after a nice win up against the Indianapolis Colts. And then, you got the Raiders, the Ravens, the Bills. And one of the questions is, can Tennessee make the playoffs without their star player, without their main running back, a guy who I personally think should have been probably the front runner to win MVP in a quarterback-driven league? Like, that's how special Derrick Henry has been. So here's the Titans' remaining schedule. You got Week 9 up against the Rams, 7-1. That's a tough one. The Saints, 5-2. They just beat the Buccaneers. Texans, that's a win. Patriots, 4-4. So, realistically, they could lose 3 out of their next 4 games, and I really wouldn't be too surprised because as soon as you take Henry out of the equation, all right, you're getting me a little bit nervous. So let's say they have 7 wins. Then the final stretch. Luckily, you play 3 teams, Jags, Dolphins, Texans, who all have 1 win right now. I'm not going to count out Pittsburgh. I'm not going to count out the 49ers. So after seeing the remaining schedule for the Titans, here's my question. Will the Titans make the playoffs? I want you to go ahead and type M for make, or I want you to type W for that you don't believe that they will make the playoffs. 6-2, the number 1 seed. Am I worried about the Derrick Henry injury? Yes. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to type my M for make because I still think that this team makes the playoffs. I still think that they can get to 10 wins. But it's also because they are in the worst division in all of football. Last year we called the NFC East the NFC least. If y'all want to try to think of a name for the AFC South, because the Colts, they're 3-5. I just don't see Indianapolis getting to 9, 10 wins. I don't even see them getting to 8 wins. The Jags are 1-6. The Texans are 1-7. As long as Tennessee, I really feel like can win an extra game or 2 for the final stretch, they're still going to be in playoff contention. So yes, they're going to win the South and make the playoffs. Now again, y'all, today's show presented by Magic Spoon. I don't know if anybody out there is trying to eat healthier. If anybody has a sweet tooth, usually around the holidays, this is the time of the year where, man, I really start to pack it on. But luckily, I found Magic Spoon, and you guys can too. It's a whole world of flavor that I want you guys to try. MagicSpoon.com/chat. $5 off that first order. I mean, imagine cereal that tastes great, and it reminds you of all the cereal that you ate as a kid. Low carb, high protein, also no sugar. There's no sugar. It's sweet and delicious. You have one bowl of this stuff, you're like, how in the world is this healthy? I don't have an answer for you. I'm not a doctor, but I do know it tastes really good. Now, I do personally recommend getting the variety of 4-pack. That way, you can kind of figure out which personally is your favorite types of flavors. You can get a frosted, you can get cinnamon, blueberry, cocoa, peanut butter. I mean, I've yet to have a bad one. Also, you get your money back for whatever reason if you don't like it. 100% money back guaranteed. That's how confident Magic Spoon is in their product. One more time, that link is going to be available for y'all in the comments and in the description. Go get a bowl of Magic Spoon, and if you're a Titans fan, you're a little upset. I don't know. Sometimes when I get in my feels, I just go and eat some sweets. Here's the perfect thing, so that way you don't pack on a few pounds. So let's look at some of these numbers here. Right now, Henry had 219 carries, 937 yards, 10 touchdowns. The dude's averaging 117.1 yards per carry. The reason why he's called King Henry, he's the best running back in the league. He was going to be the rushing leader again, and I've sat here and said on multiple NFL shows that he deserved to be in the MVP discussion. When you look to see what he's done over the last 5 years, okay, so as a rookie and in 2017, he was still pretty good. They didn't really fully give him the rock until 2018, 12 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. But the last 2 years, over 300 carries, over 1,500 yards, and a combined 33 rushing touchdowns. The other area that he's done a lot better job of this season was actually catching the football. So here's what Tennessee has to work with. You have 3 running backs right now on your depth chart. Are you going to trust Jeremy McNichols, a player who I actually did a video earlier in the offseason about a potential cut candidate? And you got Evans over here, who's probably the best runner. The issue is he's on the IR. So essentially you got to trust Jeremy McNichols and then Dontrell Hilliard, who has yet to touch the ball this season. Not that I don't have 100% confidence in these dudes, but, let's be real. You're not going to be able to replace Derrick Henry. Let's just take that idea and throw that out the window. But are you really confident in those 2 backs? I'm sorry, I'm personally not. So what I thought about is, all right, Derrick Henry goes down. Who are some running backs that the Titans could potentially go out and get? And coming up right now here on today's show, I have 9 running backs, and I have them ranked from 9 all the way down to 1. It's a few different things based on skill set, based on likelihood, and all that good stuff of who Tennessee could go out and get before the November 2nd, tomorrow, NFL trade deadline. So what do y'all think? Should the Titans trade for a back? Type T for trade, type P for pass. If you're like, you know what, Mitch, I'm not going to try to panic. I think they can get through. They can get to the playoffs. Henry's going to be okay. But if he's not, if he's out for the year, I'm absolutely going to go ahead and type my T for trade. The first running back on here, and the reason why he's number 9 is because Marlon Mack's the best running back out there in the trade market. The issue is the Colts and the Titans are in the same division, and I do not think that a trade ends up going down. But we've seen interdivision trades before. I just wanted to be able to put his name in this video because he is the best running back on the market. But I'd be shocked if Indianapolis traded Mack to the Titans, especially after the game that they had this past week. Let's go to number 8, Tevin Coleman of the New York Jets. You're just going to see a lot of names on here from teams who really aren't competing, could probably move on. I was really impressed from what I saw from Michael Carter this past week in New York in a shocker 34-31 win over the Bengals. But Coleman, a lot of injury issues in his past, but if he can stay healthy, he can be a good running back. At number 7, I'm going to go with Rashaad Penny here of the Seattle Seahawks, another team where, yes, maybe when Russell Wilson comes back, they can compete, but they don't have a shot in that division because they got 2 teams at 7-1. Penny was a waste of a draft pick in the first round. If you don't believe me, go look at Tom Downey's Twitter picture, which I still think is it. If it's not, that's on me. Either way, Tom gave me the thumbs up. Penny, I never believed in him, and I think at this point, okay, let's maybe change the scenery. At number 6, Tyson Williams. Out of all the players, I actually think this is the one that could be one of the most likely to happen. Remember, you go back a few weeks, there was reports out there that teams were calling the Ravens about potentially trading for a running back. They have a lot of backs there. Williams has been a healthy scratch, and with Le'Veon Bell, with Devonta Freeman, Latavius Murray there, Williams could be a sneaky player that could end up lining up in this team. The other issue is, does he really fit what Tennessee's trying to do? But, hey, we're going to wait and see. Now, if any trades do go down, we're going to be live here at Chat Sports, and I don't want you guys to miss it. We predicate ourselves in being able to give you news, Derrick Henry injury news. We predicate ourselves giving you extra analysis, 9 running backs that they could trade for. We also love our live shows because we're interactive as well. So Tom Downey, Harrison Graham, I might be on as well. I don't know the exact plan, but bottom line, we're going to be having a lot of fun. NFL trade deadline. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends because I want to get a hell of a party started. Let's go to the top 5 running backs now. Phillip Lindsay of the Houston Texans. Now, even though Houston just traded away Mark Ingram, they're not going to be competing, but kind of the same situation here. Interdivision teams don't usually trade within themselves. But at the same time, I just don't think the Texans are a well-run organization, which is why I put both of their backs in here. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what Culley's going to do. I have no idea what Houston's trying to do. But they have a major problem on their hands, and they need to figure out a way to get draft picks because they have terrible draft capital. They're probably bottom 2 team, them and the Lions right now. You just got to figure out a way. Coming in now at number 3, I'm going to go with Mike Davis of the Atlanta Falcons. I was excited to see what Davis was going to be able to do with Atlanta after a pretty impressive season with Carolina. But it's been the Cordell Patterson show, and I don't blame them. Patterson's been a better running back. The only good thing Mike Davis has done this entire year is there was a picture that went viral of him of his quads, but they're not helping him pick up too many rushing yards. However, he is a tough-nosed running back, and it could be a potentially good fit. Let's go to number 2, and I think there's a clear tier drop-off where these top 2 running backs, if you can figure out a way to get them, go ahead and do so. Ronald Jones of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, sure, Tampa Bay by no means is out of it, right? But Jones has definitely lost favor in the offense with Tom Brady, with the Buccaneers. It's the Leonard Fournette show, and Jones, another player who was drafted, I believe number 34 overall out of USC, had a few bumpy roads, had a few good years, though, had a good year last year. The past 2 years was okay. Could be a running back on the move. And at number 1, I don't know how likely it is because I personally don't think that the Denver Broncos decide to move on from Melvin Gordon. But if I was Tennessee, the top running back that I would try to get in my backfield, that sounds weird, is Melvin Gordon, who has 88 carries this year, 397 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yes, he also has some injury issues, but Tennessee still is going to want to run the football, and I want to be able to put it in a veteran back's hands who also has some success finding the goal line. So one more time here are the 9 running backs, and we can just cycle through these pretty quickly. Now, with the NFL, there's always another option. If you don't see any of these backs on screen out of the top 9, then you're like, you know what? None of those really pique my interest. You could technically always go out in free agency. Now, usually in free agency, if a player is still out there at this point of the season, I always say there's a reason behind it. Either he's washed up, he's got injuries. Todd Gurley, big-time name, but let's face it, Todd Gurley, 26 years old, is not nearly the running back he used to be. If you're looking for somebody who got Derrick Henry comps when he was coming out of college, Alabama, Bo Scarborough, the issue is Bo Scarborough is definitely not Derrick Henry. He's like, I was going to say he's like Plan B version. Nah, he's like Plan D, Plan F version of Derrick Henry. Adrian Peterson, Kerryon Johnson, Darius Geis. As I stated before, you will not replace this man. He is a man running up against boys, and there's just no way. But if you're just trying to get by and hopefully make the playoffs, I mean, I can understand that. So after looking at some of these numbers, here's my question, because I understand that the NFL is a quarterback-driven league. But does Derrick Henry have a chance to win the NFL MVP? Yes or no is how I'm going to end this video. Adrian Peterson was the last running back to win the award back in 2012. But, I mean, imagine a world where you have your best player on a team who's I believe, made up 80% of the Titans' rushing yards this season, and they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. A very good division, a very good conference, whatever you want to call it. I say absolutely Derrick Henry deserved it. He was head and shoulders better than every other running back in the league. He was the most important player to his team. I'm going to finish this video with, yes, I hope he has a quick recovery. I want to see him in the playoffs, and I want to see him running this season.